I feel like if the company is smart, they will make sure that the Teamsters get everything they want. And this will diffuse something that can become revolutionary.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
We have on the line right now Tony Rosario, a Teamster from New York.
New York.
New York.
Thanks for having me, Jacob.
Tony, I appreciate it. So, folks, I met Tony Rosario at Chicago, in Chicago at the Labor Notes Convention, and he has been a member of the Teamsters for over 20 years. His looks are going to fool you because he does not look like he could say that. But he shared on Twitter last week a picture of him from the 97 UPS strike, and he's got long hair. He's got his short sleeve shirt is all rolled up and everything. You're really rocking the look there. So you're definitely been in the union for at least 20 years. That's for sure.
28 to be exact.
28 years. Wow. So, and you have a union talk radio show in New York.
We do. We have unionpowerradio.com.
That's awesome.
Unionpowerradio.com.
The What the Heck Show, because it's always like, what the heck is happening here?
Yeah, that seems that tracks. That tracks with somebody that's concerned with how working people are going to do. What the heck is going to be a common response to a lot of the news. So on Union Power, y'all are pretty tightly focused on like Teamster stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's a lot of it is based on UPS Teamsters.
Gotcha.
So here at Local 804, I'm a Teamster with Local 804 for over 28 years. Been a UPSer, did part-time work on the inside. As you saw from the picture, in 1997, I was working 2 separate part-time shifts, getting paid part-time wages and not getting a fair shake, which is one of the reasons we went on strike in 97 were for people doing the work that I was doing, you know. And then later on, I became a full-time driver. Thanks to the 97 strike, I got a full-time job. I ended up going into full-time driving. And then I did that for about almost 20 years. And then I went back inside into the factory again to do clerical work until I started. Well, not clerical. It was like a clerk job where you fix dress corrections for UPS. And then after that, I started doing some organizing for the union.
Gotcha. And so are you on staff with the union now, or are you still...
Yes. I'm
okay.
on staff with the union now. Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. That is my uncle was chief steward of the Huntsville UPS workers for a while, and he said that he really proudly told me that he was on local news during the 97 strike talking about the same things that you were talking about, why you went on strike and the things that, you know, y'all need to be getting and stuff like that. So, so that's a pretty cool thing that I just learned recently, actually.
Well, kudos to your uncle. It's because of guys like him and you know, a lot of the old timers that were out on that picket line that we were able to fight for, you know, what the workers were able to get back then, which was, you know, a higher salary, more full-time jobs. And we really kind of kicked them in the teeth that year. They were actually trying to also take over our health and welfare. And we were like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So
yes. Yeah, I remember reading something about that. And so normally, or currently as it stands and as it stood then, the union is actually the ones that are in charge of y'all's health care and retirement. Is that right?
Well, yeah, for most of the full-timers, and it depends what part of the country, but a lot of the part-timers on what's called team care, and that's separate from us. That's where we have this divide between full-time and part-time worker, which was created over the years under the Hoff administration. So, you know, these are things that we can't allow anymore. It's just, you know, that's why we're happy. We fought for new leadership with Sean O'Brien. We got a good new group of international leaders. And here in 804, we also fought about almost 6 years now for, 5.5 years for new leadership here in Local 804 too. So a lot of the locals across the country were starting to become reformed, and you know, good people were taking them over. And then that proceeded onto a big drive big campaign to change international leadership, which is why there's so much talk now of the 2023 contract campaign negotiations coming up soon. So, yep, that's definitely right now the talk of the town. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been a lot of attention around the heat lately, especially with Local 804. We've been bringing it to just about everyone who would listen to us. Well, not even bringing it, just they're asking us for what's happening.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the heat, because there's been some crazy... I've seen UPS drivers having those temperature guns and clocking it at 120 degrees inside their trucks. Yeah,
some of them are even going higher. I had a guy who had a regular oven thermometer, and it reached about 129, 130 degrees.
Wow.
I saw pictures. I created a post because I saw these posts being shared, and I said, I want everybody to start showing their temps. And sure enough, we were getting, and if it's 90 outside, the temperature in those trucks is easily 20, 30 degrees.
Right.
So you're looking at 129, 130. Some people were up to 140, 150. I was seeing posts from people in Georgia, Vegas, Arizona. I mean, even where were you guys from? Down in Alabama? Yeah. Texas. I mean, everywhere. And it was just insane to see the amount of people that were posting about it because they weren't scared to talk about it, the amount of people that actually go out with thermometers in their truck because they want to know how hot it is in their vehicles. And it goes the same for the warehouse employees because they're offloading those trailers, and those trailers are like ovens, just like the package cars. They're out there in the sun, and they just generate tons of heat. And honestly, a lot of the workers are saying, well, we've done it for so long. But you know what? Enough is enough. So what does that mean? So we should have made conditions better for our workers. So I had to do it for 28 years, and I suffered through it. To me, it was survival techniques that we used to use that I learned from the old timers, having a cooler with ice, hoping that your ice doesn't melt so you can rub it on yourself to keep cool. I mean, these were all things we tried. You go inside somewhere that had air conditioning to stay cool, but enough is enough already. Why should the next generation have to suffer the way we did? We're not in the Stone Ages anymore, right, Jacob? They have plenty of technology out there that's available that they can find better ways of cooling the trucks off, better ventilation systems, air conditioning, whatever is necessary to keep the drivers and the workers in these warehouses cool. And instead of spending billions that they make, because they make tons, this company made an astronomical amount of money during the pandemic from customers that originally weren't shopping online, who ended up shopping online. Those old school customers that actually wanted to go to stores. Well, they got a little taste. They got a little taste of what online shopping is. So those are our new customers on top of the ones we already had. So it just pretty much almost doubled and tripled between companies like UPS and Amazon. Anybody in logistics, package, and delivery was making astronomical money. But the workers weren't seeing it. And all we're asking for is, to give us some proper ventilation, give us some air conditioning, put some proper fans up. But no, they would prefer to put surveillance on us. They would prefer to spend that money to put cameras in the vehicles.
Yeah, I don't think that I had no idea. I would have just assumed that UPS and FedEx trucks had air conditioning in it because I haven't been in a car that didn't have air conditioning in it for ages, or at least if it had air conditioning at one time. I drove a car for about a year that its air conditioning broke, but it was broken, right? That wasn't the norm. That was the and everybody has air conditioning in their cars now. It is weird for it not to, but my understanding is that no UPS truck has air conditioning, right?
None.
That's insane.
And let's go to the history of it, Jacob. The first air conditioner that went into vehicle production, I believe, not into production, just invented, was somewhere around the 30s and 40s, right? Not till about the 70s that they start doing it in more production, style, where they were actually producing it for vehicles and maybe just one or two makes at the time. Who knows? Here we are in 2023, Jacob. I mean, I'm hearing guys saying, well, UPS has been running like that for over 115 years. AC hasn't been around 115 years, pal.
Right.
Okay? So let's do the math. And if I'm doing the math, I'm saying to myself, well, I think it's our time. Thank you. Can we please get some now? It's only been God knows how many years. Let's go. Let's get it in our trucks.
They don't even have fans, do they?
No, some of the trucks now we're starting to see some fans, and it's in the contract. I don't know if you know, one of our workers also tweeted that he had requested a fan, and it said, as per corporate, the mechanic wrote, as per corporate, we can't give you a fan. Basically, that's all in a nutshell what it said. And it says in the contract that they have to provide fans when asked for them. And the young kid, Elliot Lewis, who actually, is one of our workers that's been with the company a little over 2 years now, or actually probably going on 4 years now, he actually posted the picture of the DVR, which is from the company. It's something that the drivers write in when there's something wrong with the vehicle. Like if your doorknob's broken, if your mirror's busted, you write it up, the mechanic fix it. So he wrote it on there, and that's the answer he got. And in the tweet, he also put the contract right next to it. So you could see that how, ridiculous
Right.
it was to have an answer like that.
But they do have the money or they do want to spend the money to put cameras in the vehicles.
Correct. This is why in Local 804 on the 28th, we had a rally behind it on Foster Avenue in one of our Brooklyn facilities. Our president, Vinny Perone, was there. We had one of our brothers, shop steward from Foster Avenue, Antoine Andrews, and a few other people spoke at this, what we call the safety, not surveillance campaign. Because, again, here's a company that over the pandemic and over the last few years has made billions in profit, at least tripled their profits. And we're expecting some of that to be shared with the workers, right? I mean, you would think that if a company wants to keep its workers happy,
Right.
but not them.
Well, and you would,
no, they
you would
put
think
cameras.
that UPS in particular would be sensitive to that argument because UPS has so outperformed FedEx during this time because their conditions, their salary and benefits packages, whatever we want to say about them, and I'm sure we can say a lot, they're significantly better than FedEx's, and so UPS has had a much easier time keeping positions filled than FedEx has. And I saw this report about how UPS is way outstripping FedEx in terms of revenue, in terms of profit, and in terms of on-time delivery and customer satisfaction and all of these things. Why is that? It's because they're taking better care of their workers than FedEx. And so you would think that they would be amicable to this, to that kind of argument, instead of just going on a war.
Well, you would think, but it's actually because of the unions that people stay at these jobs. It's not because of the company. It's because the unions fight for us to have a good pension. The unions fight for us to get higher wages and wages that are at that standard that a lot of companies can't match because we fought for it. And this is what's happening with other companies and why, they're having trouble finding people to work for them.
Right. Yeah. Even where it is benefiting the companies to pay their workers well, they don't want to do it unless the workers are forcing them to. And I think that's really, that's really a big takeaway from all of this.
The real shame is that these companies have more than enough money to share a little more. Like, we're not asking. We know the company is the cash cow, right? This is how we make our living. We know that they have to have enough money to, continue the business, keep it running, make profit. We get that. But at the same time, how much is necessary? You're lining the CEO's pockets, you're lining the shareholders' pockets, and you're not contributing to what the workforce needs. You're not giving us our fair share. We're not asking for, let's use an analogy. It's a huge pie of pizza, right? We got it. We get that they have to have a majority share of the pie, but you know what? You can give us a slice instead of a slither or instead of some crust. You can give us how about 2 slices? Throw some pepperoni and anchovies on it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, so the 2-tier is another issue that's been that's coming up in several of these contract fights that we've been seeing at the UAW, BCTGM, all of these campaigns, and we're seeing it at the UPS in these contract negotiations or in the run up to them as well. Talk to us about what the specifics of the UPS 2-tier system are.
Well, it's not as complex as you think, but the issue with the 2-tier job, especially the one that was created over the last contract, which is the 22 Ford driver, combo worker. It wasn't used as it was supposed to be used, and a majority of the membership, turned it down. It's something that the Hoffa regime decided to implement, or should I say, ram down the workers' throats, because they used an old loophole stating that 2/3 of the membership didn't vote. Therefore, we can continue to push this through, which a lot of members really felt it was unfair. It was something that, shouldn't have been put that. We knew it was no good for us. One, because we knew it was going to create a divide. So the first thing you have to understand about the 22-4 is that they're meant to work inside the building and then go and help relieve the drivers of overtime. That's what it was meant for. But honestly, in most facilities, they're using them just to be drivers. They're doing the same work that any other driver, which is now called an RPCD since the 22-4, which is the acronym for regular package car driver. Now that's the job. So to get into the company, you have to be a 22-4, and you can't become an RPCD till 25% of that volume of 22-4 is met. Once they're over 25% at that facility, then they could start to promote them to RPCD, which is, again, and another thing, which is very, very hard, and why it's creating a huge divide, is because a lot of drivers are entitled to things the 22-4s aren't. So if I'm a full-time driver and I ask my supervisor, may I have an 8-hour request load, it's usually granted to me without any issues. Also, when it comes to opting into the 9-5 list, which is for drivers that don't want a lot of overtime, when you get on to opt into the 9-5 list, if the company violates you 9.5 hours over a 3-day period or within 3 days of a week, you can grieve them for triple the salary, which is double time plus your irregular rate. A 22-4 can't do that. Unfortunately, a 22-4 cannot opt into the 9-5 list. He doesn't have 9-5 rights. It wasn't in the language for them. So when a 22-4 hears, oh, I'm opted into the 9-5 language, he's going to be like, I want to opt in on that. Can I get some of that? Right. No, I'm sorry. They can work them to the bone. It's really sad. And same thing with the asking for an 8-hour request. A 22-4 can't simply say, listen, I need to do something tomorrow. So same thing with the request loads. A 22-4, again, cannot ask a supervisor for an 8-hour request because it's not a right of his. He doesn't have that in his language. So it creates a divide, especially when the regular drivers are there saying, I'm going to get a request load, and these young drivers come in as 22-4s and they hear it and they want it, and they want to know why. Why can't I get on that? I do the same thing he does, So it created a really big divide.
And so the membership is pretty animated about getting rid of that and being able to come in at entry level as a driver.
Yes, the new our new leadership is pushing really hard. That was the premise that Sean O'Brien, one of the things he was running on. The 22-4 language would be eliminated, and we would then make all those drivers RPCDs. Like there would be no 2-tier driver job. Another big thing would obviously be part-time pay also. Part-time pay varies across the country. And in some places, they would have these MRAs, these market rate adjustments, where around a certain time, like peak season, they were given like an extra $3 or $4, even $5 bump an hour. And then right after the holidays, it was taken from them. And it's like, if you can afford to pay it, why just not pay it? These part-timers are working just as hard as anybody else. They're some of the backbone of this corporation. They're in those trenches. They're in those warehouses, unloading thousands of pieces off these trailers, loading up hundreds of package cars in every facility. It's very disheartening for an inside worker to get the kind of wages that they're getting in comparison to what a full-time driver makes.
Right. I mean, I can only imagine. And so how is it that how are the Teamsters going to create the bargaining team for this national contract? Has that plan been released yet, or is there something in the Constitution that talks to that?
Well, I'm not really too familiar with the whole process. What I can tell you is that they do have a timeline for the way things are going to go down. They're already setting up a contract campaign coordinator. and they are starting to build. They will start building committees within the locals. But before that, there's going to be a lot of surveys that are going to go out to the employees. All the members are going to be able to take a look at what they think they want, things that they would like to have implemented, things that they feel are fair. Everybody's going to have a right and a voice to state their opinion, and they're going to take all of this information, little by little, create these committees within the locals, and then they start, I guess, negotiating at that point.
Gotcha.
So we'll see where it goes from there.
Has UPS been giving any hints in the press or to the union about what their stance is going to be like during negotiations? Because the Teamsters have been pretty clear about their priorities, about eliminating two-tier, about significant wage increases and everything. Has UPS come out with anything about that?
Honestly, I haven't heard anything. They've been, mum's the word with that. If I see anything, I'll let you know. But right now, it's like we have demands. We're not asking anymore. As Teamsters, we have demands, and they have to be met. And, we're ready to strike if we have to. That's for sure.
If you're playing...
We haven't struck in over 25 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're playing, psychic, seeing into the future, looking into your crystal ball, do you anticipate a strike next year?
I feel there's a possibility that the company is going to not want to create that kind of uproar that's about to happen. I feel like if the company is smart, they will make sure that the Teamsters get everything they want. And this will diffuse something that can become, revolutionary.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, we'll definitely be following it closely. We're going to be getting on at some point. Some of the local Teamsters, we're really excited about working with them more closely in the run-up to this contract. They voted, the Teamsters local that's closest to us actually voted in a higher percentage for the Teamsters United slate than any other local in the country, actually, which is really fascinating. Muscle Shoals, Alabama voted 96% for the Teamsters United slate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, we were up in the 90s too, but that's very, very nice.
Yes.
Kudos to Alabama.
That's right.
Listen, we all wanted new militant leaders, and we got them.
Yeah, I think so. He was definitely an electric speaker at the Labor Notes convention, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do and to talking to some folks down here. So, Tony, I appreciate it. Is there anything else that you think folks should know about what UPS drivers are going through and these contract negotiations that are coming up in 2023?
So I would tell everybody to keep their ear to the ground, listen to their local leaders, find out what's going on, make sure they fill out the surveys when they come around, start preparing by saving your money, anywhere from $100 a week. If you can do it, $50 a week. We don't know if the strike is going to happen, but you want to be prepared. You want to be able to sustain a good long strike if necessary. There is a lot of money in our strike fund, but paying $350,000 wages over a couple of weeks, it will dissipate very quickly. So we have to save our own money. Let's be smart. And listen, in 97, when I was on strike, I was just 22 years old. I didn't have a lot to think about back then. I didn't have a wife. I didn't have kids. It was a different time. And you know what? There was no social media, Jacob. There was no, we didn't have a way to let the people understand what's going on out there. So we didn't get the support that we're getting now. If 2023 is going to be a big difference, it was back then we had a lot of truckers supporting us, a lot of blue collar workers, but believe it or not, a lot of people looked at us as greedy Teamsters wanting more money. And it's like, that was just not the case. Now people they're seeing unions are fighting. You've got, unions trying to get in Amazon. You got unions in Starbucks now trying to, and it's changing the dynamic. People are looking at us all now as good guys. We're out there to defend the workers, stop the exploitation of workers, defend the workers. And again, sometimes it's necessary to take your workers and let the company know that all these billions of dollars you make is on the backs of these workers. You have no money if we're not out there making it for you. So treat us right, because in 2023, especially at UPS, we're coming for what we're worth. We're coming for what we deserve, and you're going to have to pay up.
Tony Rosario, Teamsters Local 804. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jacob. Have a good one, buddy.
All right. Yeah, that's really awesome. Looking forward to updating y'all as we get closer and closer to those contract negotiations. Definitely something that we're going to be keeping an eye on for sure. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.